Welcome to our first week of learning with Seesaw. I just wanted to go over a few things before we get started, just to give you some kind of guidance as to how to navigate the activities and what I am expecting now that we are in the actual learning activities. So, in a message from me, you should have received the schedule. Now, this is an optional schedule. You do not have to follow this. The reason I am giving this to you, though, is because we are expecting about 2 hours a day of work for students. So, if you would like to follow that guideline, I would follow the work that is listed for each day. There are some of the activities, such as the writing, where I just have two writing responses that I would like done sometime during the week. Doesn't matter to me which day those get done, just as long as they get done sometime by the end of the day on Friday. So to go over this real quickly, I know it looks like it is a lot, but some of the activities are extremely short, so it's really not as bad as it looks. So each day there is a fluency practice for reading in the reading section here. And you'll see that there is day 1, day 2, day 3, and 4. So this is something that students will do every day. Now, in those Seesaw activities, so here's day 4, what they will do, according to the directions, is they will first listen to it being read. So there's a recording of me reading it to the students. They will then look at the passage and read it quietly to themselves. And then the third time they read it, they need to record themselves reading it out loud. So they will be reading it 3 times every day. One time listening to it, one time quietly to themselves, and the last time is out loud and being recorded. This is something very similar to what we have done in class, so students should be familiar with this process of reading it 3 times on multiple days. We're doing the repeated reads to help them build their fluency, so every day when they do this, it should become a little bit smoother and have a better flow to it. Each day, I would like students to read for at least 20 minutes. This does not have to be one solid 20-minute chunk. If they want to do 10 minutes at the beginning of the day and maybe 10 minutes before bed, maybe they want to read more. Just as long as it's 20 minutes at least, sometime at some points in the day, that's all that I ask. There will be some sort of spelling activity most of the days. The first day on Tuesday, there is a seesaw activity where students will need to sort words, and there is a lesson to go along with it. It will be in the stream of activities. Otherwise, they will need to log on to Spelling City. They will need to look for syllables and affixes, which is level 3, and find sort 13. Those words on Spelling City should be the same words as the activity on Seesaw. Okay, so when they go on Spelling City for those days, they just need to play games with that list for about 10 minutes. Okay. On the only day that I don't have that assigned is for Thursday, and there is a language activity assigned instead. That is on Seesaw. Then finally, each day there is a comprehension activity. It is focusing on the standard that we will be working on, and our standard for this week is a vocabulary standard, so focusing on using context clues to help figure out what words mean so we can better understand what we read. Now, I have them listed as activity 1, 2, 3, and 4, one per day. Unfortunately, in our stream of activities, they don't stay in order. I'm not really sure why, but they don't. So it's very important for you to make sure that you are scrolling through and finding the reading activity number 1, okay? It's not going to make as much sense if you start with number 3 compared to starting number 1. So please, please, please make sure you are reading through the titles of each of these activities to find activity number 1 and starting with that one. When you finish that, if you want to keep going on reading, then just go to number 2 and that will be the next one that you do. Okay? So it's totally fine if you want to, do 2 of the reading activities on Tuesday, just make sure it's first number 1, then number 2. They should be going in order for the learning progression to make sense. On to math then. So each day I would like students to log on to MobyMax, and there is a fact fluency um, application on there that they can practice some fact fluency so we don't become too rusty with our facts. Um, on certain days, they will stay on MobyMath then and do about 15 minutes of MobyMath, not numbers, not the fact fluency again, the math application. I did assign perimeter, so students should be working on our perimeter standard, which is the standard that we are working on in math. Um, the only other day that they would not be on Moby, it would be Wednesday, and they would go on to Freckle Math. And there is an assignment that is also working on perimeter there. Okay. Then lastly, we have our seesaw activities. So same thing as reading. Please make sure you're doing these in order. Again, seesaw did not put them in order as I assigned them. So please make sure that you are reading the titles very carefully and starting with activity number 1 for math. Okay. After that, if you want to just keep going because you're feeling the math, just make sure that you are going on to number 2, not jumping ahead to any other ones. Okay. Make sure that they are going in order. The last one is the perimeter check-in. That is kind of like our test. So you do want to make sure that you are taking that seriously, doing your best, because that is something I am going to be using to help assess and grade. Okay. So I know this is the first week, and I know this is going to be kind of a learning curve for all of us. If you have questions, I'll be here. Do your best to get all of the work done. If it's not possible this first week, I understand. If you do need to prioritize any of the activities, I'm going to ask that you do the seesaw activities first, compared to like the MobyMath or the Freckle or the Spelling City games. So I'd prefer if you know that something can't get done, there just isn't enough time, or we just can't do it all, try and do the activities on Seesaw first, and the extra other websites are the ones that I understand this first week if they don't get done. I, again, will be available for any questions. My biggest thing, please read the directions and please make sure you are doing the activities in order. That is how they'll just make more sense. And I know this is kind of a new situation for all of us. We've never had to have the students do most of their learning, if not all, for this last quarter at home. So in order for this to work, please make sure that you are doing the activities in order. I will be sending out this schedule, and I will also be sending out the document that I shared in the email with the original, like, getting logged on to Seesaw information that had all of our class codes and password information on it. That will be helpful in getting logged on to Moby and Freckle and all those other extra websites. Okay? Good luck, guys. Please, please, please do not be afraid to ask if you have any questions during this week. I will be available to answer and help in any way that I can. Okay? Good luck, guys. Happy learning.